smoking that Whoopi Goldberg South Egyptian Fur Burger Deluxe Mega Million Scratcher Skunk Bubba Kush. We smoking Dung Beetle. I'm on 12 Vicodins smoking on Scooby-Doo Dick.
48 minutes of dogs barking. 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 Growl. Growl. 48 minutes of dogs barking. 48 minutes of dogs barking.
Remember Bud Dry?
Bud Dry was such a catastrophic failure for the marketing department because, like, why are you going to drink a beer that's dry? What is that? Yeah, like, people were just confused by it. They didn't know what to do with it.
It was like a crisp, almost weedier Budweiser.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Bud Ice was very much in that same vein.
That was like the beer you would get when you couldn't find Stag, but you wanted to let people know you were broke.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
like, I can't find Stag or Hands, but they got Bud Ice.
They got Bud Ice, so I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, geez, I think the last time I've seen Bud Ice was at a house party off Lucas and Hunt in 70.
Yeah,
so like that was hard living. Watching a bunch of people slam Bud Ice and play Wii bowling.
Yes. And
listening to like Social Distortion was a fucking weird scene, man. Everyone's like, dude, fucking Corpse Grinder's got the Bud Ice. Man, don't let Bomb-Proof near that stuff, man. He barfed too bad last time.
He's gonna hurl.
Hey, man, don't beef over there.
Yeah.
That's where my dog sleeps. Man, if you're gonna puke at my dog's bed, I'm gonna be really upset with you, and I don't know if I want to be friends with you then. My impression of a guy from back in the day when I was doing the DIY punk scene shit. He talked like this, and he played slap bass in a punk band. And,
we all know at least one of those guys. Yeah,
I really tried. There's some really funny moments about this guy, but really can't remember any of them. In my life, I've met a handful of people that were like friends with this guy or went to high school with him, and they all have the same impression. Just, hey man, how's it going? This dude would like show up to a show where people are like rolling around in broken glass and drinking piss out of a big gulp cup, and like, wow man, this is pretty fucking wild, huh? Jeez man, these kids are really going off.
And that's like the stereotypical hippie voice, which is what makes it so funny to me. It's just like, yeah man, you don't eat the brown acid or whatever, you know?
Yeah man, hey, someone's girlfriend's crying in the alley. Is anyone not find their girlfriend? She's crying in the alley. Oh man, it's real bad, man. She's really upset. Is someone who's an asshole in here, man? Who's making their girlfriend cry, man? That's not cool.
Tommy Chong, relationship counselor.
Yeah. Hey man, you gotta like respect who she is, like as a person.
You gotta meet her halfway, man.
Yeah, man. You know, a relationship is about compromise as much as it is about love and understanding.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Whatever, man. Anyways, don't cash the fucking bull.
If only every relationship counselor was that cool. Hi, it's 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking. My name's Jason. This is Brian. We're piping hot, full of weird energy today. We got the Coors flowing like water in the chalet here.
From the Rockies.
We're just full of piss and vinegar, full of beans.
Oh yeah. I just got fired from the volunteer radio station for clogging up the toilet.
Oh boy, if that was the case, I would have been let go a long time ago.
You were dropping bombs.
Well, so we're talking about, of course, 88.1 FM, a station here in St. Louis, known by the call sign KDHX. Old habits started to kick in, and I started to do the tagline that you're supposed to do every time you back announce. I did it for 7 years. It's 88.1 KDHX. Independent music plays here. They've been in a bit of hot water because they're letting go some of their older DJs.
Two people who have been there for over 25 years.
Long time, yeah. And this is, a station that's been around for 35, 40 years. So they've been there for a while, a good chunk of time. For whatever reason, the executive director and the board have decided that DJs can't be over 40 anymore. Did you see this? This was new to me. Because, for the past couple of years, I quit being a volunteer there for a while. The schedule didn't work out, whatever. And I thought to myself, well, a couple of years go by, I'll come back, I'll do I'll do the whole thing. I'll go through the volunteer. I'll start
do
over.
the double Helix Corporation training, and
I'll do it all. And I'll walk right back in. And now I'm like, well, I guess I can't. I guess I'm too old now.
Too old. It's just a weird fucking scene. Getting rid of someone like Andy Coco, who has been definitely part of the backbone since I've ever listened.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since I've been listening to KHX, is a bummer.
He's probably the nicest guy, short of our next week guest, that ever worked there.
Yeah. Oh, he was always really sweet. There was a lot. I mean, most of the people that were like employees of the radio station, when I was volunteering, were real sweethearts. Chris Bay was always really nice.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other people. This new general manager lady is just really, I don't know if you saw this, but she had this proposition to change the flag or change the logo for KHX. You see this?
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, did you see this?
Yeah, it's
you see this?
Brian then
It's
shows
weird.
me
So
a swastika.
Yeah. So I guess it's a bunch of K's.
Yeah,
I guess it's the KDHX put into one symbol.
Yeah, they kind of smushed it all together.
And then and tilted 45 degrees. And it's in a white circle, a red background,
which is kind of the inverse of what it's usually been. Yeah,
KHX has always been very much about the color red.
Yeah. Red circle, white text. It's always been.
Yes. There's no word yet on the expedition to the North Pole to find Nordic runes and the Spear of Destiny. She's searching through a bunch of old 45s and she finds.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
A lot of this might be actionable, so we're gonna have to watch our mind our manners.
Bleep it out. I mean, you're just gonna have to guess what I said for 15 seconds straight.
There's gonna be definitely some static breaks, not only this week but next week. Like I mentioned, one of the former KDHX people is gonna come on and talk
very
about
excited.
Something else. Actually, it's gonna talk about something else that we're gonna talk about in a minute here when we get to our normal programming, as it were. This kicked off this week another round of internet discourse. Brian, of course, I showed you this. This was the guy who on Twitter goes by Old Books Guy. Good versus bad art. The master list of 15 differences.
Speaking of Nazism, this really does sound like the whole argument about degenerate art that was proposed back in the day.
Let me give you some examples. It's a 15-point list, but I'm not going to read them all. But the highlights are this. Number 1, emotional effect. Good art improves mood. Bad art makes you feel weird. Number 5, faster versus slower. Good art produces momentum. Bad art produces stagnation. Number 6, drug metaphor. Bulletproof coffee. Good art. Weed. Bad art. Good GPS. Bad GPS. Good art gives you a good map, and bad art gives you a malevolent bad map. I don't understand that one. Let's see here. Input. Good art, sweat, tears, struggle. Bad art, obfuscation, lies, resentment. Let's see here. 11, Hall of Fame, join or burn. Good art wishes to be canonical. Bad art wishes to destroy the canon. Conclusion. Here, this is the part. Good art is man's divine right and terrible duty. That sounds like Nietzsche. And bad art is whining, coping, seething, and a waste of time. Yeah, and so I did a little digging.
Smooth brain motherfucker, and this guy went on to also say some. I forget what he proposed was good art, but the bad art was do comps.
He has a fucking hard on for Duchamp. I don't know what the deal is with the urinal thing. Everyone,
but I think I saw someone quote tweeting it. It was shout out to the comp for fucking making smooth brain motherfuckers go mad for over 100 years.
He's still doing it
from the grave.
He's been dead a while, but he's still just pissing everybody off. I mean, I'm sure at some point he would have brought up Piss Christ, which hasn't been relevant for a long, long time, and things like that. But of course, a couple posts later, here it is. Oh, I see communists with pronouns and mental illness in bio furiously replying to my post, earning me Elon bucks with every passing minute. Attached is, of course, the Groiper Donald Trump
Pepe thing. Yeah.
So, and then almost immediately after, ancient Rome was the most powerful empire. As soon as I heard those two things together, I'm like, fascist. I'm done with this.
Oh yeah.
Block and report and move on. Just a
miserable human being, and I feel like it's one of my pet subjects here is harping on about media literacy.
Nah.
And
and yet,
was it you or someone else that was like, honey, the fucking right-wingers don't know the difference between objective and subjective again.
I don't know if it was me, but it definitely feels like something I would say. Yeah, objective versus subjective. One of my favorite people to write a newsletter, Luke O'Neill, he writes, Welcome to Hell World. He posted, can't tell if a fascist made this or the final boss of YA Goodreads.
It is a powerful, smooth brain movement.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a water slide, the thoughts just roll off.
Nothing there.
It's just vibes, and the vibes are 6 million.
Oh, boy.
One of those guys that like puts on a suit and does like a Twitter video of him being like, so why at Auschwitz, if they were just going to kill everyone, did they build them like a movie theater and a swimming pool? And you're like, Well, who you think got to use that? It wasn't the people that were being starved.
It was the guys in the guard towers,
was,
your grandpa, whoever.
Right. Yeah, my grandfather died in World War II.
Yeah, that's the fellow at the guard tower.
Yeah.
We said goodbye this week to a favorite Twitter/Facebook account, as it were. An entity, thank you. Because this was a collection of goofballs and comedy writers and all sorts of fun people that called themselves Broken Pizza Hut. Now, if you're not familiar with Broken Pizza Hut, are you in for a treat? This was a group of people who got together and decided to just riff on how bad 80s and 90s Pizza Huts were and how weird it is that some of them are still open and that nothing has changed on the inside.
Particularly the sit-down Pizza Hut.
Yes, specifically the sit-down Pizza Hut. You're correct, because, it is definitely specific to that. This post here from them, Broken Pizza Hut began as I was bored in 2013 in the lobby of a Memphis high school selling DVDs of dance competitions.
I still don't know if that's real.
I don't know if it's real. It was born of my love of old school Pizza Huts and the feeling of walking into a fast food restaurant and realizing it was a complete fucking fiasco inside. I was very protective of its anonymous mystique until several of my friends began submitting jokes that had me in tears and allowed them to be an outlet for the gross, scatological, inappropriate, dark, and weird, the hilarious ideas they could not always express publicly. They could express at BPH. One major contributor isn't online at all, and editing the jokes and sending them the ones taking off really brightened our days. Yes, they did create entire storylines about a character. There was a canon.
Mythology.
Smoke Dog, the line cook. Professional skydiver Eddie Guns, who was always, of course, fucking your mom.
Yeah.
You, the reader. They had 10,000 followers. Facebook nuked the account because, of course, it is parody. It did earn its share of ripoffs. In fact, it started before Nihilist Arby's.
Which I never found to be particularly...
No, it was objectively funnier. Now, of course, Nihilist Arby's was run by the guy from the Lawrence Arms, so it had a bit of a following just built in, because he obviously would retweet it and it would get attention from all his fans.
As someone who's seen the Lawrence Arms live a few times, I can't imagine why.
Well, the gentleman behind that account, of course, could not reveal his name initially because he started working in advertising for the actual Pizza Hut.
We're talking about the individual that broke down Pizza Hut, not Nihilistic Arby's.
Correct. Broken Pizza Hut. The guy who ran Broken Pizza Hut
couldn't show his hand.
No. Because he started working for actual Pizza Hut, like the Book It campaign. That was one of his clients. They did have a plan for a coffee table book. There was going to be a Broken Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut's on fire, and then little bits of text from the lore and whatnot. They're saying, here you go, with Twitter collapsing and Facebook collapsing, soon to be converted into dentist office, liquor stores, and burned out husks like sit-down Pizza Huts. We have archived the post for a hopeful coffee table book of best of someday. A big thank you to Jason Stryker, Chris, Missy, Sean, Julia, Gretchen, Darren, and many more for being fans from the outset. Now, of course, Stryker, we know that guy. That's Stryker Spurlock from St. Louis.
Yes, an incredibly funny young man and talented filmmaker.
Says, there's nothing more romantic, quaint, weird, and nostalgically normal about sitting in a fast food restaurant quietly and observing what goes on around you, off a phone, while a cruddy jukebox and arcade machine sit unused in a corner. I do it every chance I get before they're all extinct, but for now, thank you for your laughs. And this Pizza Hut is closed by the order of the Facebook Health and Human Regulations Fund. Anyway, no fucking refunds, which is a running gag on the Broken Pizza Hut site there. So that there is the creation of local St. Louis weirdo Chris Ward. He will be appearing next week on the show to talk about not only that, but also his tenure at KDHX. A little bit of a tease for next week, but we're going to have him in.
I'm excited.
Live in the chalet, so it's not even going to be one of those Zoomy things. We're going to be like sitting here with him. It's going to be a hoot.
We're going to really soak in each other's smells. Another one of those. I don't know if I'll ever get to mention this bit of Brian lore here on the old podcast. The first place I ever prank called was the Pizza Hut down the street. I'm like 5 or 6 years old. I just took the magnet off the fridge, went to my grandparents' room, and I'm like, they're watching like Full House or some bullshit. And it's like using the phone in my grandparents' bedroom, and just being like, I heard you guys got roaches and you put them on the pizza, and someone just being like, what? And I'm like, what's up with the roach pizza? It's bad. No one likes it. And
what's up with the roach pizza?
What's up with the roach pizza? I saw one on the counter. It went into the pizza box, and you said that was okay. Just being a shithead like that. I mean, it started from the beginning, folks. It did. Yeah. I'm sure there's something traumatic that sparred it on, but it's not like one of those things like I got hit by lightning or someone stole my dog or whatever. Like I just came out like this.
Right. It was born this way.
Like the Lady Gaga song.
Exactly. A TikToker by the name of the Tall Knight. The Tall Knight is this guy who was a TikTok guy. He always wore this like Crusade era night mask.
Like Templar bullshit.
Yeah. It was just such a weird account, and people were like thirsting for him or whatever. But then he started an OnlyFans account, which of course handles explicit content.
Yeah. Was he posting the hole?
He must have been. The backlash to all of that about him, promoting the OnlyFans, various accounts to minors, resulted in his TikTok account getting banned. They said, oh yeah, he's a groomer and all this because he's sending these links to minors and all this stuff. And yeah, because he had 1.6 million followers. The guy, for some reason, had a bit of a following. He said, my account was in good standing. I've never gotten a guideline violation before. Of course, he has a secondary one. Here's my monetization scheme. And then users started showing up and saying, like, hey, he sent this to me when I was 13, or, he made inappropriate comments to me. And here's me sending a link to OnlyFans to someone. And, and then some other comments came out where he was, being really transphobic and just kind of a real shithead. And on my birthday, as a special gift to me, he posted this video on TikTok, on YouTube, 28 minutes long. I'm not going to watch the whole fucking thing because it's titled My Side of the Story, which of course we all know from these very long explainer videos where these people, I did. And then immediately after that, of course, someone posts, here are the messages that he sent me on Instagram when I was 16. Just not a great guy.
Wow, sounds terrible. Wow, you gotta wonder, the Knights Templar, did they groom?
Oh yeah, come on, are you kidding me?
This was the beginning of commerce.
They had to have young squires and all that. Yeah,
cornholing the squire. What if Charlie Wilson was a crusader? Ah, my lady, we be cornholing the eunuch tonight.
Another specific TikTok trend that I've noticed is happening is called "You Can't Pee Here."
This sounds like it's something like the Fiat would have done like 15 years ago.
It starts with a image of what is supposed to be someone pissing, a guy walking up saying, "You can't pee here," and the person pissing on them. One guy, in the first video, the one guy opens his mouth like, yeah. But then it just continues on, different versions of it. There's some here where it's like, you can't just pee on the sidewalk here, and they're getting soaked by the urine. If this is ostensibly pee, it's very clear. They're very hydrated, whoever this is.
Yeah, they could be hurting themselves.
Of course, a variation was put up where it shows it's clearly just a hose with water. This time it's a young woman getting sprayed with a hose. It's people just doing it.
Hold on.
Yeah, this one here, the guy.
I want the British guy. Boy, you can't be pissing here. Scroll up one. The one with the big tits. There we go.
The big tits, yeah.
Come on.
This is a very oddly framed. It's just staring down directly. It's the lady version. You can't pee here.
Congratulations.
A guy steps in front of her, but you can't pee here, and then and he gets pissed on. And these videos go on for like a minute and a half. And the person getting ostensibly pissed on just stands there and be like, seriously, what's wrong with you? While they're getting soaked.
This is someone's fetish.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's not as good as the grimace.
No, it is not. But it's still pretty funny. And I found a lot of them amusing, especially the one where they don't even try to fake it, where it's like clearly just a garden hose.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we get it. We get what you're doing. This week, a 3-hour video dropped, Brian.
3 hours.
3 hours long, featuring this character from a Zelda CDI game. Link: The Faces of Evil was the name of the game. Mm-hmm. He owns a store, and he has all of 20 seconds of dialogue. Some enterprising individual created a text-to-speech algorithm that sits there and chops up that 20 seconds of dialogue into whatever you want it to say. That person then fed it the entire text of the Bible. New and Old Testament.
All right, let's
a little bit of this.
Here's
here. 3 hours of this.
This is insane.
Yeah. It's truly a staggering
This is like
work.
something you would have experienced like at a rave in like the early 90s in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And like Timothy Leary would have been in the back like...
Open your quivering eyeballs. Yeah. It just would have been... It's 3 hours, and it is painful every minute of the way because it is chopped and screwed vocals that are largely incomprehensible were it not for the subtitles.
Wow, what the fuck?
This is YouTube user Competitive and Casual. This video is not an endorsement of any religion or ideology. It's purely meant to see how to stretch the limits of a video game character with 2 lines in an obscure 1993 video game. I used a heavily modified version of Morshu Talk by No Spaces. The Bible translation is the World English Bible by Rainbow Missions. And it has timestamps for all the different books of the Bible. I put that on at a party and watch everybody go nuts, yeah.
Everyone going fucking buck wild.
Hell yeah, you got to the part about the...
That's insane. Yeah, have you ever seen the episode of the Zelda cartoon where they made Link Beavis? Have you not seen this?
No. Is that somebody created that, or is that...
Yeah.
Like, okay, Zelda Beavis. I gotta look this up and see this.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. How's it going? Yeah, nice boobs, honey. Oh, yeah. Hey! Get out of here, damn it! I want to see the chick!
Some real good editing and
Some really
choice
good
of...
syncing. Yeah,
That's brilliant. It's 10 minutes long, but yeah.
It's 10 minutes long. There's barely any fat on it. If you grew up loving Beavis and Butthead like I did,
Same.
It's quite a treat.
Have you caught the new Beavis and Butthead?
I haven't. I don't have Paramount Plus.
Mike Joe still has it. I don't know what he's been sitting on all this for. He's just especially alluring is the parts where Beavis and Butthead are old.
Yeah. And they get gay married or
it's fucking great.
get a vasectomy.
It's so good. It's nothing like the Beavis and Butthead movie, which just came out. Tragic.
There's some good bits. The one where they go to college and then they find out about white male privilege and they just use this. Excuse me, I didn't realize I had a white male privilege.
Yeah, but it's
I just didn't know I had it.
It's funny, but it's like I kind of feel like the joke's like 10 years too late. Like
I think
if that had come out 10 years ago, that would have killed.
There's some good jokes in there. The Beavis fantasizing about having, I guess, like the FBI lady or whatever is his girlfriend and killing Todd, and then there's the Butthead as the is like Pegasus. And
Yeah,
he's like,
okay.
I'm a donkey.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. I mean, again, it's just as a movie, it didn't really. I had fun. Don't get me wrong. That's about all I got. Anyway,
Used to drive my family nuts.
yeah.
Doing Beavis and Butthead voices. Shut up, butt munch. How's it going? I have seen the top of the mountain. That is good. Yeah, I really like to help the kids. Fuck it. Let's just get drunk and just remember Beavis and Butthead jokes from when we were kids.
No, because we have a mission, and our mission is to hit the crypto scam of the week.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the Crypto Scam of the Week.
What we got
Magnate Finance. You know about Magnate Finance?
I have heard of them.
Once again, layer 2 protocol kicking in. This was going to be a lending protocol.
And it looks like people permanently lent the dev team their money.
Now, people did get an advance warning of this from our community hero there, Zach XBT. He did put out community alert. Magnate Finance on base will likely exit scam in the near future, currently with over 6.4 mil TVL. The deployer's address is directly linked to the Soulfire 4 mil exit scam. So he pointed it out. Hey, this wallet is linked to Soulfire Finance, a project that rugged for almost 5 mil in January. And sure enough, this per Web3 is going great. Within an hour of Zach XBT's tweet, the project drained 5.2 million from the protocol, deleted its website and Telegram group. The classic. At this point, it's a classic because it keeps fucking happening. According to Zach XBT, the project also shared on-chain links to the March 2023 Kokomo rug pull. So these guys are serial ruggers, if you will. Just insane.
That's insane.
And that one took 4.5 mil. So they're up to 15 now.
Yeah, that's upsetting to hear. Like,
I get the idea, like the idea behind all these different lending ones. That's, I think, what gets me. Is like, okay, we're setting up a way to lend crypto from one exchange to the other, basically. At least in theory, that's what it sounds like in my head. And then, okay, yeah, we're going to support this. And then they immediately just like, fuck you. And then it just keeps happening. January, March, now. Like, it
just wait until there's the next bull cycle.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay.
We'll see the next Bored Apes Yacht Club. We'll see the next Loyal Lions or whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Whatever it is. It's going to be anime titty girl car washes.
Yeah, mommy milker coin or whatever it is. Yeah.
I mean, there's already been that. There's already been stuck step sis.
Right.
All kinds of weird shit. Any weird meme or weird perverted thing has already probably had like 10 coins and they've all rugged.
Yeah.
I noticed there when you're pulling up Web3 is going great. There's a little bit from the Pepe team.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Pepe team also took their money and ran, basically. Apparently dumping 16.9 mil worth of tokens.
Yeah, multi-sig wallets. They're really great if you're trying to protect yourself from like one person.
Right.
But when, multiple individuals go in lockstep.
Yeah.
And go from there, like, yeah, shit's insane.
Here's what's interesting. After the transfer to exchanges, the team changed the security parameters for the multi-sig wallet from 5 of 8 to 2 of 8, making it easier to do this in the future. The wallet still has 10 trillion Pepe worth 9.61 million. The massive transfers with lack of communications from the official Twitter account raised alarms, triggering a panic sell, which of course is what's bound to happen. This here courtesy of Decrypt. The last market cap reading for Pepe, $375.3 million. How is that a thing? That's what I got.
Shitcoins are going to shitcoin. Market cap
of 375 million.
I mean, market cap can be misleading.
Sure.
Because there are, shitcoin meme tokens out there that have a market cap of 500 million or a billion, and they only have like 2 million liquidity or something like that. And it just depends on supply, what supply is available, what's like locked up or what's staked or what's been, what they call burned, sent to like a dead address.
Yeah.
Pepe had gone, I can't tell you how many times I've seen like a Pepe token rug in like a week or a couple days or even a couple hours. That one I didn't even really watch, even though it came on my radar. The crypto Twitter accounts I followed were talking about it, all the shillers and all that. And I was like, oh, this one's probably going to rug by, fucking lunchtime.
Yeah.
And it kept going and it ran to over $1 billion market cap. And, there's a couple people that made some real fucking money off of it. But you can see that it got listed on, I believe, Binance and Coinbase. And that was kind of the peak. And that's usually for really hot meme tokens or what like Binance wants to call like, the adventure or the experimental zone or whatever the fuck they call it. Usually that's like the the death signal. Is once it gets listed on like a high tier exchange like Binance, particularly so quickly, it's it's done. That's what kind of happened with like SHIB.
Got a lot of eyeballs on it, and it's gonna Okay.
Well, it's for everyone that's been the guy in early, got lucky, and fucking held. That's the ultimate retail. Is is now you've got all the people that are buying your bags, and now you're gonna fucking dump on them. Yeah, man, it's a fucking vicious world. There's a lot of people that get fucked over because this idea that you're going to get rich, line goes up. When reality is that very few people are going to come out ahead in this world, and they are either luckier, smarter, or less ethical than you.
It does seem to be like an arms race of like.
It's definitely a race to the bottom.
Yeah,
in morals and ethics and scruples and all that. But holy shit, bears are fucked. Everyone's fucked.
Every time I look at, I mean, not just for this segment of the show, but just in general, like because I do research for the show, I still get stuff in my inbox from Decrypt or from whatever it is.
Yeah,
and things are not looking good.
The regulation, at least in the United States, is murky. Binance is having a hard I mean, it would be really interesting if someone high up in Binance just completely sells the fuck out, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, particularly like with CZ and how the company's being run, that probably not great. I'm sure there's lots of government bodies across the world that would love to get some information.
Oh, yeah.
FTX, Luna, Three Arrows, all these massive institutions that had these high valuations and these playing these very interesting con games really hurt the space, which is fine because it's not necessarily like a great space to begin with. But most of the stuff that those entities were doing was already happening. It was just smaller. It wasn't billions of dollars. It was sometimes I'd see shit rug for 10K.
Jesus.
Back when the BSC shit coins were really fucking popular in early 2021, I saw shit rug for like $500.
Jesus.
Like you could let it run.
Yeah,
you probably could have got a little bit more money if you. But I guess you're just okay with $500. Like you bought like a URL and
you got your money back. I guess.
I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, we got to the point where like 2 weeks ago, NPR was running a piece on the CZ kerfuffle. And the headline kills me. The future of crypto hinges on a fight between the SEC and a former burger flipper, casting CZ as some sort of, down on his luck guy. It's just bizarre.
I mean, CZ got fucking lucky himself. He invested in Bitcoin super fucking early.
Well, I guess it's time to talk about the thing we all came here for. That's right, Brian.
That's right. The weird bowel movement I had about 45 minutes ago.
Prepare for 30 minutes of audio torture. No, we're talking about, of course, The Onion, America's finest news source.
The Onion, I think, is where some people first realized that jokes existed.
Yeah, that's true. Boy, it started as a physical paper.
Mm-hmm.
They started it in the 90s.
Was it in Chicago or Wisconsin?
University of Wisconsin students Tim Keck and Christopher Johnson. It was Madison, Wisconsin. That was 1988. I was incorrect. It was 1988, so it has been around for quite some time, 35 years. In 1989, Keck and Johnson sold the paper to Dickers and Ives for $16,000. After that sale, they kind of split off. The Stranger in Seattle and Weekly Alibi in Albuquerque came from that. The Stranger in Seattle still running.
Oh,
great little alt weekly. Illinois did carry it. University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Urbana. This is where it gets interesting. So 1996, they've been publishing this satirical paper for about 8 years now. They get approached by Dana Carvey to do televised segments on the Dana Carvey Show. Now, if you've not seen this beautiful documentary on the Dana Carvey Show, highly recommend it. Hulu has it. It's an oral history about how the show kind of came about. Dana Carvey was leaving SNL, and so he got a show, and he filled it with the funniest people he knew, which included Bob Odenkirk, Stephen Colbert, before they were household names. All these people. Well,
Ben Stiller, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
I think most people remember the skit of Bill Clinton breastfeeding like dogs or something.
Kittens, and it was the first episode.
Amazing.
That was their first episode. Robert Smigel, who went on to do a lot of stuff for SNL, a lot of stuff for TV Funhouse, a lot of other, you name it. Robert Smigel's been Conan's Triumph, the insult comic dog puppet. That's Robert Smigel. 96, they approached him and said, hey, we want you to do news segments on the Dana Carvey show. And of course, Smigel met Bob Odenkirk there. And so like a lot of these things that are like comedy institutions now started with, this paper that they started in the 80s as kind of a riff on the newspaper sucks. Here's a funny version. Here's the National Lampoons if they did just a straight newspaper.
Yeah.
They even did pitch a sketch comedy show. Some of them did. It's called Comedy Castaways. Did you ever even see?
No,
I haven't. It's absolutely ridiculous. They did a pilot that did 2 episodes, and then I don't think they ever got picked up. So they did 4 segments with Stephen Colbert as an anchor, again, predating anything he ever did on his own show or The Daily Show or anything like that, in 96. They made 4 segments. Only one of them made it to air because, of course, Dana Carvey show got the axe mid-season.
Yeah.
So sadly, none of it really exists online, but it was 96 when they started the website. It was theonion.com because people on Usenet were passing around this article that they had written in the print version. It said, the headline, Clinton deploys vowels in Bosnia. The idea was, well, we're going to make this website so that you can point to it and say, that's actually where I got this from. And so that's how the Onion website came about. Of course, because of the website, they got bigger and bigger. They were able to look at who was reading it. And this is a quote from then editor-in-chief Robert Siegel. If you look at the breakdown of people who read the Onion online, it's like Microsoft, Dell, the Department of Justice, and then like the University of Wisconsin. And so, yeah, it was very much a comedians type of thing. And then it was also like really smart people who understood that this was all fuckery and a satire and like a riff. Almost immediately, they got sued by Janet Jackson for the following article. I can't even say it with a straight face. The article, this is the full title of it. Dying boy gets wish, to pork Janet Jackson. They were nearly sued out of existence because of that one article, which was fucking funny and almost worth it. Oh, yeah, another Bill Clinton riff. 98, MTV created something called Virtual Bill. Were you around for this? You know this?
Vaguely.
Virtual Bill was 3D CGI company called Protozoa. I think they did some work for James Cameron later on, but this was one of their first projects. And it was a CGI version of Bill Clinton. Introduced music videos, telling jokes, doing things like a TV special and an interactive web special. The guys at The Onion wrote the jokes that the virtual Bill Clinton was telling. That did not last long, by the way. It lasted
I vaguely remember this.
This was where it really gets interesting. So the website's still going on 3 years later. They go to U.S. Comedy Arts Festival in Aspen, Colorado. It's a big deal. Well, there they meet Conan O'Brien, Dave Foley, Dave Thomas, bunch of kids in the hall people, Peter Baggy, comics artist. And they promoted their new anthology called Our Dumb Century.
Which I still have a copy of.
It is a fantastic book. I have not found a copy. I read it once at a friend's house. I have not seen a copy since. I probably have to hunt this down because it's outtakes from the physical paper. It's stuff from the website. It's just a bunch of cool stuff and stuff that wasn't ever really published until then, right?
Yeah.
They won a Webby that year for the humor category. So this is 99. Again, this is still distant past. Mm-hmm. We're at a point where the Onion now has become such a household name, I guess. There's so many times when someone posts an article on Twitter or something, and they say, I thought this was an Onion article. It's a shorthand for I thought this was satire, I thought this was a parody or something like that. So I guess it has kind of entered the cultural.
A lot of the early quote-unquote weird Twitter people freelanced for the Onion in one capacity or the other. Or did Feed Buzz or whatever the fuck.
Oh, yeah. That's, Feed Buzz. Jesus. The mockery of BuzzFeed. That was Runt, wasn't it?
Runt did Feed Buzz. I'm sorry. Clickhole.
Yeah. That's an Onion offshoot that comes
The Onion offshoot.
Yeah.
I believe disgraced podcaster Virgil Texas was a headline writer. I mean, that was like a thing. Like you would be like someone, your thing was writing the headlines and the other person was writing the copy. Some other people I've heard may or may not have. Some people say that Drill wrote the "Which of my terrible sons are you?"
The quiz.
The dreaded Laramie.
Yeah, it does definitely feel like a drill bit. There's certain voices, boy, when you see them in writing, you can almost pick them out. And I do feel like the "Which of my terrible sons are you" does feel like a drill bit.
Yeah, but the Onion was kind of the funniest thing on the internet, I think, for a long while.
Still is. Got to be honest, still is. I mean, even though they're, here's some headlines from today. Here's search party acting like they can't spend 3 minutes to watch funny video. Local couple turns to IVF after struggling to have octuplets. And my favorite, idiot kid dies after being left in unlocked car. So it's still happening.
I think as the internet got quicker as far as how we went through information, went through jokes, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the headlines became almost more important than the actual writing.
Sure.
It used to be the inverse, I feel like,
Yeah.
someone write a solid, 500 to 800 words about, Marilyn Manson going door to door, shocking people. But the one headline that always stuck with me was when Obama was running for president, it was this upstart, junior senator, and it was black man asks country for change.
Ooh.
Technically, that's correct.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Glenn Beck would probably say something like that.
And totally serious, yeah.
Dress like an old timey gold panner.
I can't believe this, folks.
Folks, he's on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
He's not even paying attention. He just unaware of what he's doing, writes the 14 words, and he's like, who put this here? It must have been the communists.
Right. The funniest part to me, and this is actually kind of weirdly tragic, they moved from Madison, Wisconsin to New York in 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some internet friends through something awful that lived in Madison or went to school there and had feelings about that.
I can imagine. And then, of course, they were present for September 11th, and then they published a first paper issue that had been in a while. That was September 27th, 2001, a special 9/11 issue. Their popularity only got bigger after that because what do you do but you joke about it, right? There's something...
And we were told we were never going to laugh again.
Yes. And 2 weeks later, The Onion proves everyone wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just... And then they went back to Chicago, and they've been off and on doing print editions and whatnot. I mean, they've done a number of books. The Onion ad nauseum, which is just compilations of articles. The Ecstasy of Defeat, sports reporting at its finest by the editors of The Onion. The Onion Book of Known Knowledge, a definitive encyclopedia of existing information. In 2007, of course, everyone was pivoting to video, so they were no exception. They started the Onion News Network, or ONN. Short daily videos, but it is one of my favorite things from the website because it created two things that were very important. One, which was the Onion film standard. If you've ever seen it, it's
pretty good. I think my favorite Onion News Network one is child dies in tragic accident was not Glenn Beck. I believe I'm paraphrasing it, but that's the bit. Is it like some child gets killed by a drunk driver and everyone's upset that the child wasn't
disadvantaged or something.
Yeah, it's like a crying mom. I just wish it had been Glenn Beck with his little pig eyes.
They also had Horrifying Planet, which was, of course, the nihilistic version of like a Attenborough nature documentary. Dr. Good, which was a parody of Dr. Oz. This website and this paper were taken seriously by the people it was lampooning for a long time. That, I think, is, to me, still the staying power of The Onion. You'll still see it. Someone will post an Onion article without having read the article, just having read the headline, and like, so true, or something. And you'll have to say, no, this is The Onion. This is a satirical website. Still, to this day. They even had, though, I said one of my favorite things was Peter Rosenthal, which is the Onion film standard. The second favorite thing, we talked about this when Casey Green was on the show. My favorite political cartoonist, Kelly.
Yes, with this? Fantastic.
So this is the most recent one, Wrong John Silver. There's a gentleman wearing a shirt that says, "Wary public restroom patrons." He's zipping his pants down. But used to the regular kind that flushes automatically. The toilet is labeled burdensome manual style. And there's a guy, of course, in a sicko's shirt crawling under the stall door and going, ha ha ha, yes. Kelly in the corner saying stalled. Me describing it does not give you the full picture, but if you can, it's theonion.com and look up some of these Kelly cartoons. My God. I mean, he created some really great ones. The Crying Lady Liberty is always a feature in there.
Yeah, I think my favorite one is the Black History Month one, where it's a white man buying black porno.
We shall overcome, says
He's doing his part.
Yeah. The labels are like, sicko kids or like, ungrateful children. Mm-hmm. Like every political cartoon riff that you can do, Kelly has done it and continues to do it. Probably the best to ever do it. Here's one where it's talking about the writer's strike called Deprogrammed. Kindly executive on television saying, up next, nothing because writers hate America. The normal father guy on his knees praying, please God, deliver us from social interaction. In the corner, Lady Liberty has hanged herself, tortured kids, screaming on the ground. Outside his window, the writers on strike. One of them shirt says "Sicko Screenwriters," ha ha ha, yes, which is a running meme. Mm-hmm. And then in the corner, Kelly, that's all she wrote. Just like taking the wrong side of every issue, being an asshole. The corner Kelly is The Onion. What a website.
And then it got sold to Gawker. It's kind of a shell of its former self in some ways, but it's still going pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, you've still got people contributing. Ruben Bowling, the Super Fun Pack Comics guy, and Jack Handy, Ken M. A lot of these guys that you kind of know as internet weirdos or people who do all that stuff. Rob Delaney, a lot of that stuff does kind of percolate through that. The New Yorker did a piece on The Onion itself, and this is the line that I think is a great summation. Reading this book, which is the political cartoons of Kelly, but it could be kind of applied to The Onion as a whole, just as the phrasing here. Reading this book has given me, over and over, the feeling that the Colbert Report used to. It's a great relief to laugh at the absurdity of a bizarre, flummoxed worldview that's confidently and simplistically expressed. We want answers. We know that at some level we're susceptible to it. It is part of us. We want easy answers or answers at all. And I think that the some of the narrative, the way that The Onion constructs the news stories, there's this confident, this is a bad thing because there's a point of view, regardless of who's writing it, definitely comes across, even all these years later, that like they understand the levels of abstraction and they're still telling you this. In my mind, it's probably the best satire that has existed in a long time. Still, even after the Gawker merger, because even as toothless as it might seem or whatever, there's still some stuff there that
it's still pretty good. Like I'll still see some stuff pop up, and I laugh pretty hard. And the Onion News Network stuff is there's such a huge organ of content that they've created since
stuff.
the 80s that's really fucking solid. And of course, there's Clickhole. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's a lot going on there anymore, but 10 years ago that was.
Oh yeah, well, and what a perfect parody of things like BuzzFeed and Shareable or whatever the hell it's called,
Yeah, and, it's the parody of the website that killed all internet journalism,
right?
For the most part, and then had to lay off their own journalism team, which was like fucking Ouroboros, man.
Yeah, Clickhole's headline, of course, because all content deserves to go viral. Here's a recent headline from Clickhole. Not a great sign. Duolingo just added a language called Space Termite, and it is only teaching words for expressing submission and obedience. So, kind of created a sort of a feminist offshoot called Reductress, which is a riff on all these like feel-good, girl power articles. NPR also did a great bit on The Onion with the headline, Area Man realizes he's been reading fake news for 25 years. Morning Edition put that one together. So 25 years of The Onion. And now I'm going to show you something extremely gross. You ready for this?
Sure. Whatever.
Shock.jpg time.
Nothing matters anymore.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
It's called mongface.com.
Oh, no.
Now, what's interesting is that it has nothing to do with mong or face.
It's a misdirection.
The banner used to read Jessica Alba naked. But the content of the site is decidedly different. It is a looping video of a man shoving a telephone receiver up his ass and pulling it out over.
It's for you.
Over, yeah, and over again.
Gosh, imagine being the person who uses the phone after that.
Yeah, what is that?
It smells like lube and old dog hair.
Yes, this gentleman is definitely hairy. This will go on for a while. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off. But it is set to Hanging on the Telephone, the Nails song performed by Blondie. The Nerves, I'm sorry. It's the Nerves who perform Hanging on the Telephone. What a deep cut.
How far do you think you could stick a phone receiver up your ass?
Not very far. I'm very butt
Squeamish?
shy.
Yeah,
it's
you
just
don't,
I
you don't like taking power back there?
Not really. Butt stuff always it never really appealed to me. I guess I'm a little squeamish about the
Yeah,
back
I mean, like,
quarters.
I don't know. Like, I've never been like a fan of like getting a blowjob. And it's like someone you just started dating or like someone you met at a bar or whatever, and like that hand starts going behind your hip, and you're like,
yeah.
what do you think you're doing? I think if dollars to donuts, if someone's like, you think you should stick this phone receiver up your ass? You know what? I would at least give it the college try.
I don't know. There's not a lot of good lead in, man. I mean, it's mostly just. I mean,
it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and then it's going to get worse again if you're trying to get the whole thing up there. I mean, it's two different. Anyway, it's I don't know.
I'm sorry, Jason, that you don't like to live life deliciously.
No, I guess I
phone up your
don't.
ass.
Yeah, it's just not my deal.
Ring banana phone.
At least the banana is a little bit smaller. I might be able to do that. I don't know about a phone receiver. Urban Dictionary, of course, describing mong face as a person whose face is monged, which doesn't tell me anything, but the result of several hours of steady smoking.
I guess I'm not a smoker.
Smoking weed, Brian.
Oh, okay,
Mong
so now
being
we're
short.
into...
Mong being short for a word we don't use anymore.
I was gonna say, I feel like this is getting into some. We don't use the term Chinaman anymore.
Yep, it is definitely outdated, shall we say? But yeah, so mong faced.
I rather just say getting stupid off that loud.
Oh yeah. My friend Joe used to call it getting blow-wo-woed. Yeah. So
getting whoa.
he had a lot of colorful terms for that stuff. But yeah, that was that's the shock.jpg, mongface.com. Do not go to that website.
You listen, you are not going to see Jessica Alba naked.
No, sadly, no.
Unless Jessica Alba is the person on the phone.
Too hairy, I think. Well, again, I don't know.
I don't know. Like the
Yeah.
person calling.
Oh.
Hold on a second. I got to take this.
Takes on a whole new meaning when you.
Hey, can you say that again? I'm wearing a towel.
I'm going into a tunnel.
I'm going. Yeah. I think the battery's low. You're breaking up.
But yeah, can you say that again? That's a Simpsons gag, isn't it? Can you say I'm wearing a towel?
Can you say I'm wearing a towel? But he's wearing a towel around his waist,
not around his head. Yeah. I think that's the joke they were going for. But for a long time, that baffled me. I didn't know what. Well, I guess that means it's time for the breath mint, Brian.
Yeah.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the breath mint.
For the breath mint, which means that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Armored Core because that's. Of course,
the Saturday morning was the sound of millions of weeaboo girlfriends being told by their problematically older boyfriends, "Not now, kitten. Daddy has to play with the robots."
If you like Gundam, if you like Evangelion, well, I would recommend it. It's a hoot. I love it. FromSoft has not made a bad game yet. Armored Core is no exception. I think I played the last one on the PS3. It was Armored Core 5. It was Verdict Day. Really enjoyed that one, although it was a little bit different from earlier entries. I mean, I played the first one on the first PlayStation, and it's definitely, it doesn't hold up. It's really clunky. It takes a little getting used to. Moving to the PS5, Armored Core 6. Smooth like butter. I mean, just, you can't ask for a more satisfying combat. It's giant mechs. It's huge guns. You're blowing shit
You're
up.
flying around. You're shooting your missiles. You're getting them the overheat. The red bar shit.
And they kind of brought the stagger mechanic from Sekiro, which is what I really like about it so far, is that you can pretty easily stagger these guys and then come in there with a melee weapon. And, oh boy, there's a lot of options. A lot of people were getting a little salty this weekend when it first came out. Getting real salty about one of the first big bosses, Baltius.
Yes.
It was a rough ride for me. I mean, it took me a minute, The way the game goes is that you're a genetically engineered mercenary, and you arrive on this planet, you steal someone's ID, and you go to work, as your handler says. Let's go to work. And you get down on the planet, and you're doing all these missions, and then by the end of Chapter 1, you get to this mission where you're doing something else, and then suddenly a boss arrives. This big boss shows up. And he's firing missiles like it's Gundam. Like, it's just missiles everywhere. A lot of people who may not have played an Armored Core game, or people who, don't really get into the mech genre, saw that, got their asses kicked by it, and went, what the hell is this? And proceeded to beat their head against a wall for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas, anyone who's played an Armored Core game should know that when you die, okay, I got to change some stuff up. I got to put new legs on. I got to get into this. I got to get into that. I got to go back to the part shop. Maybe I have to start the mission over again. A lot of that stuff is kind of like, well, if you played these games before, you know how it goes.
Yeah, if you played Armored Core, if you played the Souls-like.
Daemon Ex Machina, which was some of the same guys from the old Armored Core series, went on to make a game exclusive to the Switch, which was, and now it's on PC, but originally it was exclusive to the Switch. It was very similar in kind of style and scope, and like, you just go back. You go back and you play another mission. You get more credits. You buy a thing. You do, and it really actively encourages you to do that. I'm really fond of the fact that you can go back and beat old bosses for money, which is something you can't do in Dark Souls. Those bosses are done. But in this one, you beat a boss and you can rake in a couple 100,000 comb, whatever it's called. I've been wanting to. Yeah, it's cum. And you rake in the cum, and you go buy yourself this badass grenade launcher or whatever, and then you come back and you kick its ass again. That is really cathartic, because boy, once you get past Balthius and then you can go back and fight him again and again and again for money. That's fun. Experimenting with your build and doing all sorts of mecha stuff. Of course, I've got all my mechs painted like the Evangelion units, because I'm as big a weeb as you think I am. It's a hoot. So Brian, are you playing on the no, you're playing on the PC, right? We talked about that.
I went with the Xbox.
You went with the Xbox. Okay, great. Yeah, controller definitely feels like the right vibe.
I wanted to play PC because I think I have a beefier rig than my Xbox, but sitting at my desk is not as fun as sitting on the couch.
There's definitely something to be said for kind of leaning back a little bit, and kind of, especially if you're replaying a mission you played before, right? You're gonna go like, oh yeah, I've done this a million times.
But I really enjoyed it. It feels like an Armored Core game, just like a little bit more modernized. Like it's clunky and weird and obtuse in the same way I've found other Armored Core games to be, and that is perfectly fine with me.
I'd say it's kind of part and parcel.
Yeah.
It kind of goes with the territory.
I was kind of amazed that you beat Baltius without switchback legs, which is what everyone's doing, is like the fast and light builds, but you went a little heavy.
I just had to go ham. I just got in there and like I purchased the assault kick and then kept the plasma sword. And I'm like, okay, this is good. This feels good.
Are you using the blue sword?
Whatever the first sword you get.
Oh.
The pulse sword. Because it chews through pulse armor, because it's a pulse weapon. So
sure. And Baltius has a pulse shield. How I did it was I used the songbirds on one shoulder.
Yeah.
Songbirds on one shoulder. I think the default rockets on the other. And then you get like the weird like little radar gun.
The pulse gun, yeah.
Pulse gun. Use that. No, I'm wrong. I did not use the default. I used the songbirds on one shoulder. I used one that shoots 2 pulse missiles.
Okay. Yeah. Pulse weapons versus pulse armor. That's how you got to do it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I went ham that way, and so I had like the weird little pulse gun, and I have been using the second plasma sword that you can buy.
Oh, the laser sword.
I'm sorry. That goes in a much purple rockets.
Yeah.
And the one that looks like a solar panel that shoots weird bubble things.
Yeah, the bubble gun. Yeah, people have been saying that.
I've really enjoyed it. Baltius was kind of a pain in the ass. The second chapter boss was a little obnoxious, but I figured
Sea Spider.
Yeah. I figured him out though, and just before I came out here to record, I started chapter 3, which I feel like it's starting to lose me a little bit as far as the mission design, but we'll see.
Once you get to the decision missions and you can kind of choose your ending, then it starts to get real interesting, because I'm at a point in the middle of chapter 3. I've made a couple of decisions, and there's a couple of missions where you're taking on this Planetary Control Association, which is this big kind of space police, and you're kind of saying ACAB to them and blowing up their stuff. And then it's like, okay, now we're getting somewhere, and now you're starting to choose your faction, who you're aligning yourself with. Are you aligning yourself with the Liberators? Or are you aligning yourself with the companies? And so it kind of takes its own, because it starts out you're just kind of taking jobs from wherever, and then by a certain point in the game you can start making decisions who you align yourself with. Are you going to align yourself with the corporations? Are you going to align yourself with the people who want to free the planet of Rubicon? Are you going to go your own way? So it definitely opens
so it's
up.
like New Vegas.
Not nearly as many endings, but there are definitely choices you can make, as including who to support and who to blow up. It's
What I always liked about Armored Core was the setting. At least the first one, that like there was some cataclysmic event and then people were basically driven underground. The above world stuff was very sparsely used, and it made it feel very interesting and bizarre when you would actually, and then you go to the moon.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't know, it just does a lot of little things that I really appreciate. I'm sure lots of it has not aged well, but I sure enjoyed the fuck out of it when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, if you ever watched the 1980s or 1990s giant mech anime and really wanted to put yourself in the pilot seat, these games are pretty much the best way to do it. That and maybe Mech Warrior. But Mech Warrior is too much spreadsheets for me.
Yeah, Mech Warrior... I remember playing a lot of Mech Warrior 2 on PlayStation and having a lot of fun with that, but I think that's where I kind of ended.
There were some spin-offs. I think Frame Guy was the other one. That was like a multiplayer one. But boy, what a power fantasy it is to just be gliding around this moon base and your giant dual-wielding shotguns and blowing shit up from a distance. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's a blast.
If you like Gundam, boy, you're going to like this game. That's all I'm
like
saying.
Big robots doing big robot things and bizarre, sparsely told stories, which...
If you're a From Software fan, you should already be ready for that. Yeah.
I've seen some reviews complaining about how the way the story is told. I'm like, oh no, I kind of like this. I like this. You don't ever see like a human being in these games, really. Yeah. Humanity is kind of removed from it. It's all very abstracted. It's fairly alienating.
Yeah, it's very cyberpunk in the way that like corporations kind of are stand-ins for nations. Yeah. There's definitely a William Gibson vein running through it too, as far as like this. It's a cyber dystopia in a way.
Yeah.
Like there's this overemphasis on corporations and alliances and all this stuff about like the character you play as in Armored Core 6 in particular is not a failed genetic experiment, but he's definitely one that was ripe for someone to take advantage of.
Right. It's kind of implied.
Someone plucks him out of obscurity, launches him at this planet, says, here, go do a thing. And so he's this pawn in this larger game, and you only kind of get glimpses of that. And that's neat. I like that.
Yeah, I like that kind of storytelling. Yeah. Armored Core 6, go fucking play it.
Yeah, definitely.
Ignore your girlfriend and your dishes and your pets.
And your children and your wife, yes.
Sorry, kids, you're going to have to order out again.
That almost happened 2 days in a row. Obviously, I made it work, but there was some... I was like, oh, shit, it's 6 o'clock, guys?
6 o'clock? I guess everyone's having cereal.
The other thing that I got really into, despite my initial feelings about it, was Star Trek Lower Decks. I thought, and I said this publicly, I thought it was going to be Trek and Morty, and that it was, just kind of like, it's fine.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah. And there's a
you're
little
supposed
bit
to
of
be
that.
having sex with things in the room, where the stuff isn't real, but it's real.
There's a little bit of that. I will preface this by saying there is
more. Give me some more Romulan ale.
There is a little bit of that, but I do find that I'm most of the way through the first season now. I'm just about ready to start the second, and I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. I guess that's my kind of qualifier. I prefer the serious Trek stuff. I don't really go for the silly episodes. The silly episodes are kind of like, that's fine. The Q episode, this stuff with the Q, that's fine. The ones that are trapped in the holodeck, how many fucking times can that happen? Some of my favorite Trek stuff was like Voyager. Most of those episodes were fairly straight-faced, you know. But for whatever reason, Lower Decks got its hooks in me, and I think it's because one of the characters, who is the daughter of the captain of the ship that she's serving on, is as big a Star Trek nerd as we are, right? So she, against all reason, is the audience insert character who is a Star Trek fan. First moments of the first episode, she pulls out a bailiff and starts swinging it around and accidentally injures a crewmate. And then credits start. You know? Like, oh, okay, all right. There's a whole riff about there's a Gorn wedding. You know, they're bringing back Gorns from the original series. Deep cuts, all these really funky bits. There's one episode where they have to babysit a Klingon ambassador, and he wants to fight and get drunk the whole time, so they have to, like, hangover style chase him around this planet, trying to figure out where he went. And then there's some solid comedy to be had, because Trek in and of itself is a silly idea. Yeah. And so it's full of stuff that's silly. And
Space communists trying to fix everyone's problem?
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
One of the guys, falls in love with a crewmate, but she has a different schedule than him, so he quits his department, engineering, and tries out for all these different departments. So he tries out for security, and he's kind of a cyborg, so he has an advantage over that. And he turns out he's really good at all these other departments, but he doesn't want to do anything but hang around in the Jeffries tubes. And so that's a B plot in an episode. So it's better than you think, I think, is what I'm getting at. Because on the surface, it's exactly as I said. It's Trek and Morty. Fast talking, goofy animation, very much the same animation style, actually.
The ugly ass cartoon.
Yeah. But they make use of their kind of limited scope, because that's kind of what Trek does. Right? It's lower budget television than you ever really expect. And they make use of it. It's Doctor Who all the way, it's old Trek all the way, and so they kind of play on that. There's not a lot of really visually impressive stuff, except when there is, but it's rare, I had a good time watching it. It was really fun. Brian, what about you?
I've done a terrible thing in my relationship.
Oh no.
And we're going to watch all the Saw movies.
Oh boy.
I think we're going to do it.
It's time.
We watched the first one. We're like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then we watched the second one a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, wow, this feels like a much smaller movie than I remember it being.
Saw 2 does, definitely, yeah.
But, it's Diane Wahlberg,
Oh, yeah.
threatening. Don't you know what my brother did to a Vietnamese grocer in 1988? What do you think I'm going to do you if I don't get the answers that I want?
If I was on that plane,
if I was on that plane with my brother, I would have watched him. I don't know why I'm doing a Stanley impression.
It's fine.
It was me and Mike Ditka.
Yeah, but it feels right.
But the second one is like, wow, this feels like a much smaller movie.
Yeah,
smaller in scope than I remember, but it was fun. And then we watched the third one last night, and I was like, oh wow, there's. What the fuck is this movie trying to say?
Oh,
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is Jigsaw horny for the woman he tried to kill? The woman's horny for him, and he just wants to play games.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And
Shawnee Smith, by the way, got to give it up to her for sticking it out through 3 of these movies.
None of the kills are really that good.
No, but you do get the return of Detective Eric Matthews, who was locked in the bathroom at the end of the first one. So that's a nice little taste.
There's some nice little cameos, and some stuff gets circled around, and also erasing the other minion that Jigsaw had in the first movie that's never to be mentioned again.
The Michael Emerson, Ben Linus from Lost. Nope, he's never going to be in it again. I think this was during when Lost was taking off, so they're like, yeah, we're not going to.
It's the scope of it is really weird, and you kill off both of the 2 main characters from the first movie.
Right.
Diane Wahlberg is killed off in a way that's more interesting, but the female detective,
Carrie? I can't remember.
Carrie. It's Carrie.
Yeah.
Is not so satisfying, and the way that she dies, the special effects, the implement that she finds herself stuck in is really cool. But the thing is, she wakes up, she gets abducted by Amanda. Carrie wakes up and she's upright, and she's in this restraint that has embedded itself into her rib cage up to her chest.
Yeah.
And the Jigsaw voice is like, Amanda, or Carrie, you're gonna have to see, Carrie, you're gonna have to see your hand in the ass.
Come on, Carrie.
Come on, Carrie. if you want, we're gonna play a little game here in the game. The game is you're gonna have to stick your hand in the acid.
No, that is true.
But the thing is, the beaker,
Yeah.
or the glass that the acid is in, has a lip on it, and I'm like, as we're watching, I'm telling my girl, I'm telling Dee, I'm like, she could just tip the acid forward, pour some of it out before the key that's dissolving in the acid becomes too brittle or too damaged to the
Unlock the
yeah,
device.
you could at least pour half of it out and made it a little bit easier for yourself. But Detective Carrie does not do that. She gets the key out, of course, because now Amanda is taking up the reign of Jigsaw. Amanda is working a different line of ethics and philosophy here.
And this is where the series starts to really take off in weird directions. This is when Amanda becomes the trap maker. But anyway, yeah.
But the key that Detective Carrie has does not open the lock that would free her, and Amanda makes herself known just moments before the trap goes off, and Detective Carrie goes, "Oh, it's you," and then the.
Oh, yeah. In an inversion of the jaw-ripping one from the first one, it rips open her rib cage instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird special effect. And also the weird thing is that, like, before she dies, Carrie decides that she's going to put her arms up perfectly so you can get a good shot of the machine dismantling her midsection.
Right. Yeah, she didn't want to break her arms, I guess.
And there's also like the drunk father. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ah, jeez, I just love drinking and neglecting my child because my other kid died. Ah, jeez. This woman, she's naked.
Right.
She's naked. They're putting wire on it. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, my face is stuck on the pipe. Oh, she's dead already.
Yep.
The key. I guess I'll just go over here. It's the judge. He's got the dead pig guts. He's drowning in the.
Drowning in the pig guts. Yeah, that's a all-time classic for the series as far as like really gross traps. Drowning in the pig guts.
Drowning in the pig guts, and then it becomes the guy that. College student, the drunk college student who's like, I'm going to medical school. You know what really goes well with medical school? Drinking and driving.
Yep.
God, jeez, I killed a kid.
Now you're neglecting to mention my favorite part of the movie is that Amanda kidnaps and puts a trap on a brain surgeon to help Jigsaw survive the next night. So she puts a collar on the brain surgeon,
like
with
5
shotgun shells that are going to blow her head off if she doesn't fix Jigsaw's brain. This is a man, by the way, who for 3 movies has been dying.
Yeah, the whole entire time. Jeez, I'm dying. I quit cigarettes, the red meat, the vodka, and they still said,
Yep.
It's not looking so good, Mr. Jigsaw.
Yeah. And then, of course, Amanda kicks it at the end of that one, so we will not be seeing her again.
I think this is where I trailed
4.
off.
Yeah. Well, I think Saw 4 is where, and again, this is me, a guy who's seen all of them more than once. I think Saw 4 is where it takes off in a different direction altogether. It's no longer... Well, I think 3 is as well. It's not really about John Kramer anymore. This is about, doctor drunk driving and killing a kid. It's a whole thing. So Saw 4 is where Jigsaw teams up with a corrupt cop, and then it becomes a whole other. There's 3 more movies after that where it's mayhem for mayhem's sake, and a very twisty plot. Which first time viewers, sometimes it takes a minute to like, who is this? Oh, okay, because there's a couple of these guys in the 4th and 5th movie. 2 of these guys look alike, and they're playing, but they're different characters, and they're on opposite sides of this thing, right? And one of them's the corrupt cop that's helping Jigsaw ostensibly, and then the other one is the good guy in quotes who's stuck in all these traps. And it's like, wait, did he? Oh no, I'm sorry, that was the other guy. You have to watch them at least once. 4 and 5 especially, because 5 takes place at the same time as 3. The timeline's fucked. There's no way that anyone's going to make any sense of Saw 10.
There's like parts of 2 that technically take place during 1.
Yes. And they keep doing that. It keeps getting more and more confused.
And I kind of like some of that.
It's fine.
We want to talk about a little bit of music?
please.
Jason, did you listen to the new Hives album?
I have not listened to the new Hives album. What do you think?
I listened to it once at work.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I have not really thought about it much after. I was like, yeah, I don't hate it. There's no reason for me to revisit this over anything else the Hives have put out. It's
kind of how I felt about the Black and White album.
Tyrone, I think VV Vicious, Tyrannosaurus Hives.
Yeah, those two are spectacular.
I think Black and White album's got some good stuff on it. Lex
but
Hives is rough.
But compared to those other two, I mean, you can't really put them on the same league. I mean, they're barely the same sport. I mean, it's the same guys, but I really felt like by the time they got to Black and White album, it was just kind of like, eh.
It's their first record in over 10 years. Straightforward, weirdo punk music. It's Swedish. It's well done. I almost feels like, well, Viagra Boys are hitting the big. Maybe we should do a new record. I think Howlin' Pele, and the dude from Viagra Boys can sound very similar.
Howlin' Pete, baby.
I thought it was Pell.
Oh.
P-L-E.
I thought it was Howlin' Pete.
No, Howlin' Pete's like the racist hot sauce guy.
Oh, God. Oh, that's definitely a very different thing.
He was the one that he got in trouble for posing for that photo with Joe Arpaio.
Oh my God. Okay, that's definitely not the guy that I want to try to emulate. No. Howlin' Pele. Okay, I was wrong. All these years that was Howlin' Pete. I don't know. I don't know.
Sounds like something like crap. Oh, Howlin' Pete over there. He's making all this noise tonight.
It does. Yeah, I don't know. But they're
gonna bust his britches. Anyways, I listened to it once. I was like, oh, I hate this, and I have not gone back to it. More relevant to things, the new Jeff Rosenstock record dropped today.
Yes, it did.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, the man does not disappoint. I have never had a bad time listening to a Jeff Rosenstock record, with maybe the exception of the 7-minute opener to Post. Aside from that,
you even like the ska record?
Yeah, of course I did. Ska Dreams.
Fun.
Ska Dreams is great because he had Ska 2 Network on there. There was some really cool modern people. The guys from Kill Lincoln were on there. I mean, there's some real raw talent there, and it recontextualized No Dream into a little bit more of an upbeat record. So
I listened to it a couple times today, and I really liked it. His stuff's really not my particular flavor of punk rock adjacent music, but I've met him a few times. He's a sweetheart. Always respected what he's done, either as a solo musician or bomb the music industry.
Arrogant Bastards. It's not Amerigo Vespucci. It's something Vespucci, but he did with one of the... Anyway, yeah, various side projects.
Yeah, I always liked the guy. I always respected his work. He always puts on a great live show. Very excited to be photographing him later in the month of September.
About 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's so cruel. I was texting with Bert. It's like, how are we going to go off now that we all have bad knees?
Yeah, I know.
And it's on a Sunday?
Oh, boy.
We all got work tomorrow? Jeez. I think the one time the bomb the music industry played the Firebird, Bert, who's a huge fan of Jeff, him and one of the security guards were on stage the whole entire time because the fucking kids kept up on stage. And the Firebird, just to inform the folks at home, was a 400 cap room that didn't have particularly high ceilings because it used to be a medical office.
Yeah.
There was a drop ceiling over like the dance floor area, but the drop ceiling gave way over the stage, and you could kind of see like the scaffolding that was on the ceiling. And so these kids just kept hanging from the scaffolding, and they weren't being like destructive. They were just being rowdy and all that. Everyone had to be like, I hope no one fucking falls and breaks their neck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a fun show. I've seen him a few times since then as a solo musician. But the new record's great. It's got a little bit more acoustic stuff on there. It's very thoughtful, and I think like the new Andrew Jackson Jihad record, which I'm foreshadowing, there seems to be some contemplation from a space of a more comfortable space than he's probably been ever or in a long time. And what do you do? Like, all of a sudden, like, hey, you don't have to worry about money the same way, or like people respect what you do, or life's just a little bit easier. But you also just find out like, well, okay, like I don't have to worry about bills in the same way, but like, turns out like it fixed some shit, but some shit is never going to get fixed apparently.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing that for the past couple of records, especially like on No Dream in particular. You know, he's like, yeah, I got money to buy a new pair of Nikes, but that's not going to solve the hollowness in my spirit.
Yeah.
Some of the songs on Hell Mode, like, Future is Dumb is the one I always keep coming back to. Like, yeah, sure, things are easier now, but shit's still fucked up. This is still,
he's like talking about like, you know, I can go to the desert and I can afford to fuck off at the desert because I have fuck off desert money.
Right.
There's still homeless people and like, you know, yeah, shit's easier for me, but like other people are still suffering or stuff's less awful or less difficult for me, but it doesn't fix the world. And I think that's kind of what the new Andrew Jackson Jihad record that's some of the same space it occupies.
Oh, for sure. Andrew Jackson Jihad, by the way, AJJ, boy, I'm getting my wife into them. She's a big Mountain Goats fan. And I said, boy, if you like Mountain Goats, you're going to like AJJ. And the first song I played for her was Angel of Death.
Yeah.
Where it has that line about
a tanning bed in the classroom in a history class from the future.
That one, and then there's the line about I'm the Kool-Aid stain around the mouth of a kid whose name is probably Cody.
Yeah, he had juice box for breakfast and he carries a stick that he most likely found in the alley.
Yeah.
Cody doesn't have friends and his parents hate each other. He's trying to find a better way to find his family. And after school, he hangs out at the abandoned house behind the Arby's.
Yeah. What a fucking line. Like, Sean fucking nails it. And Sean and Jeff Rosenstock, they're
buddies. They've toured together. And
Sean has covered Jeff. And I got my kids listening to Death Machine.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad way to introduce yourself to Sean's particularly nihilistic story.
I mean, it's not just Sean. It's Sean, Ben, and
no, but I mean, like his lyrics in particular, are the drawing point for me.
I got to photograph Andrew Jackson Jihad last Sunday.
Ow!
I had a really good time. It was a fucking stacked bill, like the kind that you don't really see in a fucking market like St. Louis. It was
because you mentioned Footox,
Sad Park, and their new record is produced by Sean, and it's pretty killer. I don't know if I said this last episode, but the first time I listened to him, I'm like, oh, this band's from LA.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this band's not from LA. Like, I don't know anything about music.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, they're from LA, and like it's not the most original fucking sound in the world, but they fucking got the goods.
And that's enough sometimes.
It's like that was the first thing. Like, man, I've heard this band like a dozen times. Like, oh, but I don't think I've heard this band this good, this hungry, this intelligent and witty, and full of piss and vinegar and all that good stuff.
Sometimes that's all it takes, baby.
Yeah,
give me a band that's full of piss and vinegar, and I'll follow them to the ends of the earth.
But also on the bill was Open Mike Eagle, who was fantastic.
God, I haven't heard from him in a long time.
He's got a new record, new little tape, another advancement in ghetto engineering, I think that's what it's called.
Okay. Another triumph of ghetto engineering. Yeah.
It's a great little lo-fi record, some good shit on there, some great guest verses.
Well, track one is I Bled on Stage at First Ave, so
yeah. And there's like references to, oddly enough, last time he was in town, he was with AJJ last July, and they had to cancel like a week of shows because one of the guys in AJJ came down with COVID after the St. Louis show.
Oh boy.
There's a reference of, COVID making touring hard, and it's a great little record. I haven't got to spend a ton of time with it, but I've enjoyed it. But Open Mike Eagle is kind of one of the last holdouts of a style of backpacker rap that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's them and like
Aesop maybe,
and
Rap Fiera, maybe a little bit of Billy Woods, but I think Billy Woods is kind of post that in some ways.
That Moon Griffin guy who now is just like doing jazz albums, but when he was first coming out, he definitely had a weirdo, because he's one of those guys that will just like name drop Pharoah Sanders in the middle of a record and like expect you to know what that means.
Yeah, but St. Louis has always had a really hard time with indie hip hop.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people Open Mike Eagle has toured with and has probably been inspired by. Plays some really sad crowds in St. Louis. St. Louis is the sort of market where you could book Lil B at the absolute apex of his popularity and lose money.
Yeah.
I've seen Buck 65, Soul. I think the only indie hip hop people of that generation that really draw here are like Atmosphere and Aesop Rock. Open Mike Eagle felt like he was getting a little frustrated with how quiet the crowd was.
Yeah.
St. Louis is a bad hip hop scene. Like I tried to explain to my girlfriend that like she's like, I want to go to like a local hip hop show. I'm like, you don't want to do that. And she's like, why? He's like, it'll probably be really bad.
Yeah.
Because like most talented people either like move away or they get shot.
Yeah.
Like that's like Baby Huey. Like all of these, there's all of these rappers who, you know, they started to really, you know, create a career and they either like burnt out like Tef Po. I don't even know if really it's fair to say Tef Po has like gotten burnt out, but like that dude's been getting quieter and quieter over the last like 4 or 5 years.
He's definitely still a loudmouth on social media though. So,
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely releasing stuff. The only other guy that I can think of from that like early aughts period that's still around, still doing stuff is Vandalism.
Yeah, or Rockwell.
Rockwell, yeah.
Rockwell Knuckles. But like those dudes just don't play out like they used to. Vandalism was a great guy. I mean, you know, we used to have stuff like Script and Screws, Family Affair.
18 Accounting.
Like stuff for someone like Sexy Red to like get big out of St. Louis just feels like such a lightning in the bottle moment. Like, you know, good for her. And Pound Town's a fucking bop. And she unapologetically fucking St. Louis.
Fucking A, yeah.
Saw a clip of her on some podcast where she's like trying to do the interview, but she keeps getting phone calls and it's like someone from St. Louis County like in lockup trying to give her a ring and she's like, baby, I can't talk to you right now. I'm doing an interview. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, talking about hometown repping, Jesus.
Yeah, there's I'll put money on your books. Hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
But anyways,
Get you the commissary. It's all good.
but St. Louis there's just a weird strain with hip hop. It's either white dudes that work at craft breweries rapping about how much they hate corporations. You remember those guys? You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Dudes that owe everyone they've ever lived with money and then act like, you know,
And act like they're balling out of control. No,
show up at protests on the south side and you know, throw shit at cops till the cops start macing and beating up black people, then you run away. And, you know, all the, you know, the whole like white anarchist, you know, conspiracy theory for Ferguson unfortunately has a few teeth. Despite all that, Open Mike Eagle and Video Day put on a fantastic fucking set. And to just kind of take us, go back to the beginning, getting to see fucking Foot Ox was like fucking goosebumps.
Yeah, you were saying that last week about like you're never going to see them and this is a rare opportunity and all that. And like, yeah.
Really beautiful set. You could kind of tell that they were used to playing like fucking DIY places. They're like a donut shop during the day and like, you know,
like, oh, this
a fucking
is nice.
sake bar at night. You know, there's one bathroom and you can only get to it by walking in front of the stage. You know, like this, like the worst, like this is the worst place to ever do anything, but somehow it works. Kind of rooms and
so they're looking around this going, oh hey, what's going on here?
It was super good. Like they played Lucky Strike, which is the song that AJJ kind of made famous by covering it, and just fucking beautiful little set. I love that record quite a bit. It's one of the most pleasant surprises I've encountered this year. You know, all the folks here, they really want to think, they want to know what I think about AJJ, and man, they fucking brought it, man. They got that fucking fire in their belly. That was something I was saying to people last summer when they came through. I was like, man, they just really got the heat. Like, there's something really magical with the energy that they're expressing on stage that I just hadn't seen before. Like, they always put on a good show. I've never seen them put on a bad set, and I've seen them in different parts of the country, in different configurations, and with different types of bands on the bill and all that. And this time and the time last summer, it's just, Jesus, they're on to fucking something. There's something. I don't know if they're like, you know, doing some kettlebell exercises in the parking lot at the hotel every morning
they're
together.
Getting a good pump,
yeah. They're fucking, you know, making sure their macros are good. I don't know if they're getting into transcendental meditation.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe one guy's got a Viamix. Yeah, something's going on.
Something's going on. Yeah,
able to pull from all these different parts of their nearly 20-year history as a band and have everything hit and sound so fresh and relevant and powerful.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the strength of the new record, Disposable Everything. I mean, it's such a fiery... Something about Disposable Everything just has a lot of this, like, urgency to it. I'm
going to have to side with the needle drop guy, Anthony Fantano, the world's most cucked music nerd. That I feel like some of the songs compositionally feel like a little unfinished.
Sure.
And there's some
That's never been a
production
problem
choices
for me,
that I don't really love. But here's the fun thing about live music is that sometimes you can go see a band live and a song that you really don't like on the record, they play it live and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
And that was the instance for a couple songs off the new record. I'm like, oh, this really fucking, okay, I get it. I understand this song. You take the studio away from it and you get to see it performed by real breathing human beings. And like all of a sudden you see the life, you see the intent, it enters you. They were fucking fantastic.
That is one of those things where I was like, damn it, I should have gone to that show.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
I should have invited you.
I should have just gone.
Yeah, well, I was telling Bert how good Bert fucking, well, he didn't book the show because I think it went through a outside promoter. He knows those guys as long as I have, if not longer. And he he had do the NWA show at the Chase.
Which, okay.
Sure. Well, apparently Billy Corgan really trusts him to book a wrestling, which is so fucking
all right.
Bert gets to live his dream. He gets to book fucking Carney shit and like his favorite bands and do all this crazy stuff. But Wednesday night I'm texting with him and he's like, yeah, I'm on my way to the Blue Note. And I'm like, the Blue Note's in Columbia. Columbia is kind of a weird town, but downtown is really nice. And there is I guess it's probably like a 700 cap venue called the Blue Note. And it's an old theater. It has this really beautiful proscenium arch. I got to talk to Sean for a quick second at the show in St. Louis. And I was like, hey, that place you're playing in Columbia on Wednesday is fucking tits. You're going to have a fucking blast. He's like, oh, well, okay, cool. Because I was kind of bummed we weren't playing Rose Music Hall, which is where we've been playing in Columbia for a couple of years. I'm like, well, that room's fucking cool too.
It's good, but
Blue Note's special. And Bert was like, yeah, it was fucking fantastic. And I was talking with DMing with Sean. He's like, yeah, that was a cool place. I'm like, they just get really weird shows there. I think the last show I really wanted to go see at the Blue Note was like 10 years ago, and it was like Y and Dose One. And I kind of regret not making that trek because the only time I've only been to the Blue Note once.
Okay,
and it was a year I turned 21, which was either 2006 or 2007. I was working at the print shop, the one that you used to work at.
Yeah, the same one. Yeah.
And the whole thing is that we were going to go drive to Columbia, see the Yeah Yeah Yeahs at the Blue Note, and then drive back to St. Louis. And what happened was that my friend's sister's Chevy LeBaron convertible, all these fucking St. Charles kids I'm with don't know how to parallel park. I'm the only one.
God. Oh no.
And we're alongside this bank in downtown Columbia. I kid you not. The car's overheating. There's traffic behind us. As I parallel park the car and I put it in park, the moment it takes me to put it in park and turn off the keys, a terrible sound emits from the engine.
Ooh.
I get out of the car and I see fluid going down the hill towards the next street.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, cool. Well, fuck.
Oh, no.
So we all proceeded to just get royally fucked up. And it turns out my friend's sister, her boyfriend, who's a frat boy, the only time a frat boy has ever done anything good for me in my life, called up his boys at his chapter in St. Louis, got in contact with some dudes at the chapter at Mizzou, and one of those dudes show up in an ignorant ass fucking big ass truck with like fucking proto rolling coal kind of business. And there's a very long bizarre story about how we fix all this, but the show, this is when the Yeah Yeahs were doing the we hate each other thing. Like there was that spin article. This is like Show Your Bones era. This is they just came out with the is or the ISIS EP. Yeah. Just really kind of like, oh wow, these people are really just doing this for contractual obligations. I still believe that's probably what they're doing. The thing that was great about that was getting to see Shun for the first time.
Hey,
which was Cody Shields. I don't know how to say his last name. SSION is the band. Mm-hmm. People used to think it was Scion, but this weirdo guy from Kentucky who went to art school in Kansas City, who then moved to New York to make all this really weird music, and met the AAS, did the album artwork for Fever to Tell. He's done music videos for Peaches, Santa Gold, a bunch of other people, but his group, Shun, is fucking amazing. And I remember just being really bummed the fuck out about like how am I gonna get the fuck home, and we're drinking like dollar fucking PBRs, but under the fucking sound booth. Yeah, dollar PBRs. It was the golden era. I'm like talking with my friend, and I'm like, how the fuck are we gonna get back to St. Louis? None of us have a lot of money. We just really had enough money to make this work. They put up this giant screen over the proscenium arch, and the music starts, and there's this woman dressed like a lesbian, like librarian vampire, like menacing the stage. And then as this beat swells and it gets more and more intense on the screen, this giant screen, which is the entirety of the proscenium arch, there is all of a sudden the pyramids. Okay. And then in the middle of the center pyramid, a dog turd appears, and then the smoke machine starts, and then over all of that appears the words whatever in this very stylized hand script, and like the A's are anarchy symbols and the T's are upside down crosses, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the yeah-yeahs were really fucking boring, but that was the whole thing was worth it just to see Shun play this absolutely insane fucking show. And I've been lucky and I've got to see Shun live a few other times after that, but that was still, I still cite that performance as like me getting interested in music again, because like at that time I never had seen anything like it. They had a song called Street Jizz, and the chorus is Gee Whiz Street Jizz. It's just, everything was just so creative, but I was like, my friends were going to see like, you know, the White Stripes and like Quintron and Pussycat, Mr. Quintron, Miss Pussycat, and I didn't go because I was like, I don't know, music's lame and St. Louis is lame, which is, both of those things can be true,
right?
But then I saw this performance and I was like, oh, sick.
I believe in music again.
Yeah. And I had made a phone call at the venue to my dad, who worked at the print shop, and was like, yeah, our car broke down literally as we were parking. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it into work tomorrow. And he's like, okay, I'll let them know. And so I think that show was a Wednesday. Fix everything. We get back Thursday, fucking haggard ass day. And another thing about Columbia that people need to know is that it is probably one of the fastest growing suburban areas in the country, or at least was for a good period of time. So there's no fucking trees. You might as well be in fucking Dallas-Fort Worth, suburban Texas.
Right.
There's no tree. So we had like walk a bunch of places, and we're just like not eating, not staying hydrated. We spent all night drunk. So we get back to St. Louis. I show up at the print shop on Friday and was basically told to go home and never got called back.
It's for the best, I think.
Yeah. Well, you also worked there, so I was making $8 an hour, which at the time for a dumbass like me was a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Which is really sad to think that there was a point in human history where like making $8 an hour was a lot.
This is about the part of the show where we tell people where to find us online. Brian, why don't you kick us off? Tell us where to find you and tell us all our stories about seeing giant pyramids with turds on them.
Oh, I had a joke, but I lost it. Anyways, JFK is alive.
Okay.
And he is the turd on the pyramid.
Fair enough.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at IShotGuidibord. That's ISHOTGUIDBORD. You can find my work over at assholemusicphotographer.com if you want to check out my portfolio, and amusicphotographer.com if you want to see words going with photos. The AJJ write-up and stuff will be up by the time this goes live over theartsstl.com. Jason, where can they send you death threats?
Oh boy, send them to me. I am on Twitter and various other places as Videocrime, VIDEOCRIME. You see a video crime, chances are it's me. And also on TikTok as at LaserGooseCEO. You can find the show, of course, 48minutesdogsbarking.com. Various other places. You can shoot us an email, Jason at 48minutesdogsbarking.com. Brian with a Y at 48minutesdogsbarking.com. Give us a call, 314-246-9766, 246-9766. That spells out to Ahoy Poo. That's right. If you like to spell with your telephone. Support the show, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs. Well, this is where we leave you with a little bit of music. Now, I wanted to play some AJJ this week, but then I realized, oh boy, I got some other stuff on the docket. There's a band called Jank. Are you familiar with these guys?
I'm not.
There's a band called Jank. The song's called Alligator. I'm having a good time with it. It's a great record. Album's called Versace Summer. And this is where we leave you and where I say, namaste. and good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.